W420radionetwork.com.
Well, if you're living in one of the 36 states which has legal marijuana or one of the 16 states that permits growing and adult use for any reason, my friends, you are enjoying the herb thanks in great measure to one Mr. Wayne Justmann, longtime activist for social justice, AIDS, LGBTQ rights, who received the very first legal medical marijuana card in the U.S. just about 20 years ago. Welcome to America's Cannabis Conversation, Wayne. Awesome.
Card's right there. Hey, it is such a pleasure to welcome you and friends here into my home here in San Francisco. I'm so delighted of your interest in this plant and us educating what we've been through, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I've been there for a few. But,
yeah. Well, you're numero uno. So what did it mean and how significant was it? And we look in retrospect, maybe there wouldn't be the cannabis acceptance as we know it today without what you and your friends did 20 some odd years ago.
If you can recall, the feds were all over our ass. They were harassing doctors for writing anything. Now, there was not a prescription. You didn't have something that you could take to Walgreens or CVS and say, this is prescribed for me. No, a doctor's written oral or written recommendation was all they needed. And when they came in and raided us at 1444 Market Street, the Cannabis Buyers Club, they took all of those records. Therefore, all of the doctors' names, their addresses that we've used are now available. And so now they want to harass the doctors. They couldn't get to the cultivators yet, now talking 25 years ago, because they were not expertise in Humboldt, Trinity, all of those counties that are growing our cannabis. They didn't have that. So what do they want to do? Oh, we'll harass the patients by raiding your dispensaries, and we're going to harass the doctors who write these things out. Our government does very well harassment, and that's what the hell they started to do.
Now, how did you beat the system?
We were fortunate, Rich. We were fortunate in a couple of regards. One, the political system in San Francisco was so ripe at that time. And the reason why I want to say that, the AIDS epidemic was just getting a grip in the 90s. I don't know anybody that did not know somebody that had the virus. That had the virus. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody that didn't have the virus. You went to classes with them. You rode them on the bus. You worked with the same office. They went to the same synagogue as you did. You knew somebody. And in those days, what the hell is the Department of Public Health going to do about it? And what the hell are the Board of Supervisors going to do about it? And the fortunate thing, in those days, we had people who were understanding. As we said before, Willie Brown was very, very receptive to medical cannabis. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, the only thing Willie suggested is, Wayne, don't dirty me up. And I thought, that's my boy Willie. That's a good politician. Just sounded like Richard J. Daley years ago when I was in Chicago with Richard. And so with that, and then also too, we can't give enough respect to Terrence Hallinan, our district attorney. He was a chief law enforcement official in the city county of San Francisco. He could have cut us off immediately. Not in my town, not in my county. He did not. He was very, very supportive of. As a matter of fact, he helped. He was over at the dentist's a number of times, and with me a number of times. There's photos, et cetera, et cetera. I'm blessed that man was there. Then we had a board of supervisors. Chris Daly, Tom Amayano, Angela Aliotta were very understanding of cannabis at that time. And then, of course, Mitch Katz was the Department of Public Health. And all the stars rode up. I could go on and on. That everybody was there for us. We didn't have an obstacle to overcome, even law enforcement.
So that made San Francisco the epicenter of the medical marijuana movement, which in 2000 became the reality. Well, actually in 1996, right? Prop 215.
Prop 215 passed in November 1996. We had to do something. That was one of the things that I was asking people. What are you going to do about it? We got people that are sick and dying. The AIDS epidemic, you remember that stuff. And like I said, everybody knew something, but you got to do something about it. Now, we were realizing, as Dennis Perone did, that, those of us that are using cannabis find some type of relief. Now, of course, we understand the boogeyman all about cannabis and don't do that and don't do that. And what does our government want to do? Oh, we got Marinol. Oh, let's get some artificial stuff that, okay, fine. So a good soldier like me that needs it, I take the Marinol. Well, I'm sick the next day from that stuff. My stomach is upset. Now, what are you supposed to do? The AZT and the Zerit that we were taking were the only things in 1987 when I got the virus that you had. We didn't have cocktails or something like that. And at that time, with many other people, is the medicine going to kill us? Or will the virus kill us? And I'll tell you something, friend. That was a concern of ours. And then in rode Dennis and the opening up of cannabis and dispensaries here in San Francisco. And it just was like a domino. One slowly fell after the other after the other.
And that's how you got the moniker, the Godfather of Weed, huh?
I was telling to someone today, I'm the elder statesman of this movement because Brownie Mary was gone and Dennis is gone and Jack Hare was gone and a lot of the people that were there, they're gone. But I was one that pushed the table a little bit. Yeah. When you ask about the card program, people thought I was crazy. All I'm saying, Jesus, that they're after our doctors. They've already raided our dispensaries. Is there a way that we can protect the patient? And at that time, there was no recreational cannabis. We needed to protect the patient. I said, Jesus, I don't know. I mean, and I was opening up my own dispensary, and there was Champ and a few other things. And, well, okay, I'm Wayne's Pot Shop. He'll give you a thing on ID so you can get into my pot shop.
This is pre-215, pre-Prop 215.
No, this is just after.
Okay,
just after.
But you had a dispensary before it was all legal, correct?
Yes, yeah. We had to. The Island Bar that we had at Dennis's, and then 184 Church Street that we moved to. We had to, and that's where these cultivators had an opportunity to bring in their product, but also too, where could you go? Dolores Park, the Tenderloin. Where are you going to go to get your cannabis? Many of us are sick. What are you doing? Is forcing females out there to get your cannabis, and you've got to take every risk of going into the Haight or some other area that's a little jeopardized, and you have to take that risk? No. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. So we've already established that credibility. And then I'm thinking, how the hell do we protect the patient? And I said, the only thing that I think that we can do is get some legality to that patient, et cetera, et cetera. So, and again, everybody was in thing. I said, Willie, I need to go to the public health department. Terrence, I need to go to, okay, go. Mitch Katz was there. And I said, all I want the public health department to do, put your name on a card.
So the stars were aligned, and you, one of the founding fathers, I'm going to put you on Mount Rushmore, okay? Get a good rush.
High on Rushmore.
Yeah, right.
High on it.
And how about Kamala Harris's role? Kamala Harris, our new vice president, and you were on a committee back a couple of decades ago that was looking to advance the cause?
Yeah, I showed you a photo here that I have of what's called her advisory group. And what it was a number of us at that time, 2003, who were involved in the cannabis movement. And she's coming in after Terrence Hallinan was defeated. And, of course, Terrence was our right-hand man. You couldn't ask for a better guy as our district attorney to help us. And he did. So in comes Kamala. And I remember meeting Kamala for the first time on a cafe up on in Hayes Valley, sitting across from her, and I Kamala, we can't support you. I mean, there's no way in hell we can support you. Here's Terrence. He's been all of these years, and Masha does too.
Running for district attorney.
She's running for district against Terrence. And I said, but here's what we won't do. We won't hurt you. I'm not going to do you up or, yada, 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 yada. Well, eventually she won, and then she contacted me, and she wanted to I said, well, let's set up a committee and we'll come in and advise you. She did, and as I showed you a photo. Let me tell you something that's kind of funny about this. This is funny. So after the first day I get down there to participate in this meeting, there's a greeting area, and I come up, and there are two women there. I said, Wayne Justmann to see Kamala Harris. Okay. And I'm waiting for the door to buzz. And I don't hear the buzz. I'm kind of looking around. They said, "Well, there's a waiting room." I said, "There's a waiting room?" And all the time that Terrence was the district attorney, and I went down there. They just buzzed the door, and I'm in. It's anyway. But yeah, Kamala is. I'm not sure about where she and Joe Biden are going to go with this. I don't know if they have a choice. I don't know if they have a choice.
Well, the groundswell is growing. The acceptance is growing. And even worldwide, when you look at your impact, not only on San Francisco and all the patients for AIDS and those who are very sick who needed it as medicine, but look at the burgeoning industry. And you look at your role in that. I mean, what does it do to you?
It humbles me. I'm a patient. People say, well, how'd you get involved in this? Well, I first smoked it when I was teaching and coaching in Chicago, Illinois. I smoked it out of a bong. I don't roll very well, so I smoked it out of a bong. And I remember enjoying it very, very much. And I don't understand what all the conniption is about. And then someone who was in education at that time, and I thought, I better look at this a little bit, et cetera, because I'm telling my athletes at those times, and hey, don't use this, don't do this, and I'm working on cannabis and the like. And I didn't. And when I used cannabis, I kept it as low profile as I could. Sooner or later, some folks found out, but okay, big deal. But it just wasn't destructive. And as I found out that the gimmicks that our government made in the 20s and the 30s to demonize this very, very simple plant. And here I am many, many years later, and I don't know how quickly the world will catch up or our society catch up on this being a very medicinal plant that has many valuable uses to the human body.
You had a phrase that all marijuana use is medicinal.
Yeah, all use of cannabis is medical. But the thing is that if you and I want to go to Napa and have a glass of wine, et cetera, to relax a little bit, that's fine. Well, let's you and I stay here in San Francisco and smoke a joint and relax a little bit. That's how I interpret this. We're not out destroying property. We're not out subterfuging society. We're enjoying the use of a medicinal plant.
Right. No harm, no foul. And I think there's a burgeoning energy to advance that cause, that you're no longer fighting the uphill battle. I think we've turned the corner.
That battle with the government has been over. We just need to teach not only the deniers, but those that are not educated enough about this. A governor in one of the Midwestern states, the legislature had passed cannabis, and he had to veto the whole thing. In other words, destroy the will of the people. And for what? I still miss all that. Why? Yeah. Why are we beating up on this cannabis plant? Why?
Well, it threatens some pharmaceutical, alcohol industries and the like. And if you touch money,
You mean those profits? And also, too, I was online this morning about all of these corporations, 28 that don't pay taxes. So all you folks listening to this, you run and pay your state and federal tax because others aren't doing it.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, great catching up with you. You look awesome. I'm glad that you have achieved as much as you've achieved. And what's on the horizon? You just living the chill life now? Or are you still an activist and an advocate?
I'll be going over to the Castro Castle this afternoon. That's Dennis Peron's home. And we'll visit with them. There is, I do some advising. People will call me and say, listen, Wayne, can I use your name, or can we have some advice on some things that moving forward? The problem right now that I'm seeing is over in Los Angeles, and I'm working with some people down there, 2.5 years for an equity program. That's crazy. I'm sorry, that just is really crazy. And up here, over a year to get your permitting as far as if you're trying to get distribution or having a cannabis cultivator situation or even a dispensary. Much too long. Yeah. So this legalization stuff, folks were anxious, like, let's legalize it. But they didn't realize at what cost do we do it.
And now that's still being worked on in a big way.
Yeah, 64, I think, paralyzed us a lot. The fortunate thing, I was just talking with some people this morning before you got here that are trying to undo 64. Now, it's going to take another proposition because it was a proposition, but they're trying to undo it and challenge some of these aspects in court. It's going to, what a mess.
Well, one of the pioneers of the activist movement for marijuana and the AIDS epidemic and LGBTQ community and the like. You've been awesome. Wayne Justmann on the W420 Radio Network. For more, if you want to hear this again, go to W420radionetwork.com and check out the archive. Rich Walkoff on the W420 Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
W420radionetwork.com.